This video was inspired, so to speak, by one of my subscribers who was asking me what I thought would be happening with the kidnapped Israeli citizens that Hamas took back to Gaza. I'm afraid I'm not very optimistic about them, actually. I have no facts, no special information, no government or military contacts, so I can't say anything for sure. I can just speculate, knowing what I know about Hamas, and also about the Muslim attitude to hostages and to kidnapping. I'm Granniopteryx. To start with, I want to show you this picture, which is quite well known on the internet. It's an Israeli young woman who's obviously been abducted, and it seems she's been raped. But something I hadn't noticed before, mostly because the news agencies have their tickers running along the bottom, which obscured her feet. But I recently found a still, and I did notice a cut straight across her right heel. It's a straight, and it seems like a deep cut, and it's in exactly the right place to cut the Achilles tendon. Such an injury would make it difficult for the victim to walk and impossible for the victim to run. It's obvious that when they did that, her abductors had no intention of returning her to her family. She would be much more valuable as a commodity to be traded either among themselves or within the Arab world, or, as you'll see from something I'm going to mention later, a sacrifice. I suspect this is what would be happening to the other female hostages. They would be quite valuable, and well, it's quite obvious that Hamas is not averse to making an extra shilling or two on the side. As for the babies and toddlers, well, they'd have trouble even surviving in the conditions in those tunnels. And my guess is that they've also been sold to Gulf families, perhaps childless ones, who want blonde babies. Arabs are very keen on blonde babies. I'm not saying that as a racial slur, by the way. Italians are also keen on blonde babies because they're a little unusual. But yes, the babies and the toddlers would probably have already been traded away to Arab contacts. It's my belief that if the hostages are found, they'll tend to be the older ones who will be used as human shields if the Israelis get too close to the central command. And then the soldiers will be faced with the problem of shooting through their own citizens or being killed by the Hamas behind these citizens who, the Hamas are always calling the Jews cowards, aren't they? But they seem to have no compunctions at all about hiding behind women. I'm not just talking about Israeli women, I'm talking about their own women. And they find that necessary sometimes, but in their case, that isn't cowardice, it's just good strategy to their minds. It wouldn't surprise me either if they didn't put the dead bodies of some of the hostages at the entrances to the tunnels, most likely booby-trapped to kill the invading soldiers, or to unnerve them, depending on the state of putrefaction that they're in. The IDF have been uncharacteristically quiet about their tunnel campaign, and I'm wondering if they're quiet because they don't want to give away tactics, or quiet because they'd rather not talk about some of the things they've found. Well, one of the clinchers for me about the fate of these hostages is that we haven't heard anything about them. Except for one. I'll get to her in a minute. The Red Cross haven't gone in there, and I haven't heard them making a fuss about insisting on seeing the hostages either. They seem particularly silent in that regard. So we have no proof of life of any of them except for one so far. Apparently a video was released of one of the hostages today, or maybe yesterday. A 19-year-old girl. She was allowed to speak to camera for a few seconds, and then they killed her. And they showed videos of her dead or dying. So, no, I have no proof that my imaginings are not just that, imaginings. But they fire rockets from schools and hospitals. They use ambulances to move their fighters about. They refuse even to give sanctuary to the citizens of Gaza, their own people, keeping the tunnels for themselves. So, well, they don't appear to be the most honourable of people, or the sort of people who value human life in any other respect than that it profits them in some way. And that's why I'm not too optimistic about any hostages that they're holding at the moment. I think that they'll have to be added to the list of the dead, along with the people that the Israelis have already identified as dead within Israel. OK, well, I'm not monetising this. I'm not going to make money off dead bodies. I'm just telling you what I think. And, yeah, that's it. OK, till next time.